Welcome to Bamfordian History by James Bamfordian. And today we'll be looking at the Troubles, how violence only causes more violence. Yep, a big shocker. So what happened? Now I know you guys like a good history lesson, so let's speed things up. Once upon a time there was this place called Ireland, formed in the 5th century as an independent Catholic nation. That is, until the British decided to annex Ireland as one of its own provinces in the 17th century. And this lasted for a good long while until 1920, when after a series of movements and protests, Ireland managed to gain its independence once again and became the Republic of Ireland. Well, most of it anyway, except for the north, which was kind of kept as a souvenir of the UK. But as it turned out, that little souvenir that the UK kept turned out to be quite troublesome, as it was divided between the Catholic nationalists and the Protestant unionists, where the Catholic nationalists were the minority, otherwise deemed as Republicans, and were quite discriminated against at the time, and the Protestants were the majority, also known as the Loyalists, and greatly supported by the British. Now, the whole spiel began in 1967, when a civil rights march was conducted by discriminating against Catholics, and the Protestants responded with counter-protests, and such was the case that there was a lot of chaos at the time. So the British decided to implement direct rule in the area instead of the old parliamentary system, including the internments and arrests in 1971, to which in 1972 the Catholics responded to that with even more protests. And in response to these additional protests, the British Army started shooting into the crowds, killing 14 people, and deeming the name of that day to be Bloody Sunday. After this long series, well, 20 years actually, of violence occurred between the two sides, including several attempts at political peace, including the 1974 Sunningdale attempt, the Anglo-Irish Agreement in 1985, and no political process was being made whatsoever until 1998, during the Good Friday Agreement, when the nationalist extremists finally gave up and realized that they were never going to win this fight against the British, because the British kind of had a bigger army. Okay, now, why did this all happen? Let's take a close look at the internment of 1971. So the British implemented direct rule instead of the parliamentary system in response to all the chaos of the protests and whatnot, and the British Army ended up arresting hundreds of supposed extremists, and they even tried out the 5 techniques on 12 prisoners, which is a torture method including white noise, physical abuse, and restraint from food or water. One of the surviving 12 hooded men, so they're called, by the name of Patrick McLean, recalls this torture in a narrative format that reflects his thought process at the time. My brain was ready to burst. What was going to happen to me? Was I alone? Are they coming to kill me? I wish to God they would end it. These questions were what he pondered as his mind slowly deteriorated from the pressures of the extreme torture imposed upon him by the British. Several effects happened from the British use of torture here. In the long term, the UK set the standard for government torture, which the CIA later took inspiration from in their own torture techniques in the Middle East. And on the short term, they managed to further piss off the nationalists. And how did the nationalists respond? They continued to protest further. On January 30th, Sunday, 1972, the British Army held a blockade against protesters, during which much aggression was expressed on either side, with the throwing of obstacles, smoke gas, rubber shots. Eventually the protesters disbanded, and when they did, the army broke out, chasing after potential extremists. Amidst the chaos, 14 people were shot and killed by the army. A priest by the name of Father Dolly was there that day, and not only witnessed, but also attended to the wounded. In his autobiography, he recounts, "It was a terrifying and shocking experience. First-hand exposure to the multiple violent deaths of innocent unarmed people on the street leaves a lasting impression, and countless young people were motivated by the events of that day to become actively involved in the armed struggle, and, as a direct result, join the Provisional IRA. This day caused such an outrageous public outcry that the Irish Republican Army continued fighting the British over the course of the next 20 years. To sum it up, these events, like many others during the times of the Troubles, shows us how violence can only cause more violence.